Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Saraswati Sriman Kesi Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Nityalila Prabhupada Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Saraswati Sriman Bhakti Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anand Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Sri Lalila Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Rupa Shisharantan Bhattarapunath Sri Jiva Gopal Bhattara Raghunath Sadgoswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Sagoho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Kunara Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Braj Bhumi Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Gangamaya Jamunamaya Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shamaveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavad Mahapurana Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
All glories to Assembly Lord. All glories to Assembly Lord. All glories to Assembly Lord.
Hare Krishna.
Glories of glories to Guru Sri Gaura. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 This morning's reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, chapter 29, text number 10. We are continuing the talks between Narad Muni and King Prashanati Chanabhari. Ayota
Karyota
Avirmukhe
Avirmukhe
Chatra
Chatra
Netra
Netra
Ekatra
Ekatra
Nirmita
Nirmita
Rupam
Rupam
Virajitam Tupyam
Tupyam
Vichaste
Vichaste
Chaksus
Chakshus
Ishvara
Ishvara
Kayato Avirmukhi Chatra
Karyota Virmukhi Chatra
Netra Ekatra Nirmite
Netre Katra Nirmite
Rupam Virajitam Tobhatavyam
Rupam Vichajitam Tavyam
Vichaste Chaksusa Swara
Vishaste Chakshuseshvara
Kayata Vimukha Chatra
Yatata Yamukha Chatra
Netra Ekatra Nirmita
Netra Ekatra Nirmita
Rupam Virajitam Tavyam
Rupam Vichajitam Tavyam
Vichaste Chaksus Isvara
Vichaste Chakshuseshvara
Karyota Virmukhi Chatra
Kayata Chatra
Netre Ekatra Nirmite
Netra Ekatra Nirmite
Rupam Vichajitam Tavyam
Rupam Virajitam Tavyam
Vichaste Chakshuseshvara
Vichaste Chakshuseshvara
Karyota Virmukhi Chatra
Yatata Virmukhi Chatra
Netre Ekatra Nirmite
Netra Ekatra Nirmite
Rupam Vichajitam Tavyam
Rupam Vichajitam Tavyam
Vichaste Chakshuseshvara Chakshusheshvara.
Aste Chakshusheshvara. Trayakatrani Nike. Rupam Vibrajitam Tabhyam. Se Chakshusheshvara. Kayata.
Karyota.
Name Kayata.
Name Karyota.
Avirmukhi.
Avirmukhi.
Name Avirmukhi.
Name Avirmukhi.
Cha.
Cha.
Also. Atra.
Atra.
Here. Netra.
Netra.
The two eyes.
The two eyes.
Ekatra. In one place. Nirmite. Created. Rupam. Form. Vibrajitam. Name Vibrajita. Brilliant. Tabhyam. Through the eyes. Vichaste. Perceive. Chakshusha. With the sense of sight. Ishvara. Master. Translation and purport is Divine Grace. A.C. Atmanivedana Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The two gates named Kayota and Virmukhi, which have been spoken of, are the two eyes side by side in one place. The town named Vibrajita should be understood as a form. In this way, the two eyes are always engaged in seeing different kinds of forms. Purport. The two eyes are attracted by brilliant things like the light. Sometimes we find that little insects are attracted by the brightness of the fire and thus enter into it. Similarly, the eyes of the living entities are attracted by bright and beautiful forms. They are entangled in these forms exactly as the insect becomes attracted by the fire. Om Jnana Jnana Salakaya Chakshurunithamena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpa Gurubhischa Kripa Sindhu Vyacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this section we are studying about King Puranjana and how he is attracted to this material world, and that allegory is given as the description of the body as a city. So earlier was describing the city of 9 gates, and at this stage now, this verse we are describing the two eyes. The two eyes are the two gates. Now with eyes we can see things and we can perceive things. So either you can look outwards or you can look inwards. So here Prabhupada is likening this seeing, the ability to see. You need light. Without light you cannot see. Light is the most important aspect for sight. Even though you have the most perfect eyes, but if there is no light, then you cannot see. So you will be in darkness. So light is very important aspect. As previously I was discussing that the Supreme Lord has manifested himself in this material world like his eyes. He opens his eyes and the sunshine comes. He opens his eyes, the moonshine comes. And through the light, we can actually see everything around us and perceive everything. Now, we hear from previous acharyas giving us understanding of the nature of this material world, especially in the Bhagavad Gita. Is mentioned that if we become overly attached to this material world, to the sense objects, then it is the cause of our entanglement. Now, how do we become entangled with these sense objects? Is through the eyes, because when eyes see something, we become attracted to it. Just like the 9 gates, the 2 ears. When you hear something, you get attracted.
When you smell something, you get attracted. When you taste something, you get attracted. When you feel something, you feel attracted. But the sight is most dangerous, because by sight, it will attract to you to all the, as Prabhupada is mentioned, this material world is phantasmagoria, this flickering, flashing world, and enticing us that come. This is the best place for us. We can enjoy this material world. And through attachment through sight, you begin to feel, yes, I can enjoy these objects. Because if you don't have sight and only have hearing and smell, you cannot get a complete picture. But if you cannot hear, at least see, you can understand what is going on in front of you. Just like, for example, before modern technology came, where you had the big screen where they were showing movies. So in the old days, there were silent movies. In the silent movies, there's no sound, just the movie, and actors are enacting. And you watch the movie, and just by the sight, you can understand what is going on. Just like, Prabhupada was saying in his young days, he used to watch Charlie Chaplin movies. It was silent movies. But it was great, Charlie Chaplin was a great actor, that he, without sound, he could project the humor, and you can actually get a sense of humor just by observing his action and his facial features, his hand actions and everything will give you the sense of what is the message he's trying to convey to you and what humor he wants to bring out. So sight is a very, very important aspect, and if we lose the sight, then we can basically we cannot get attracted to this material world. We understand from the story of Surdas or Bilwamgar Thakur. He was attracted to the beauty of this world, specifically, namely, a beautiful woman. So even though he was a very learned person, he understood the science of bhakti, but because the sight of the beautiful woman was so attractive that he got attracted to her. And as he became attracted to her, nothing mattered. Just he was thinking, yes, I have to go and see her. So in the normal times, okay, the pathway is clear, you walk across and you go to the residence of the lady and you enter the house and you can enjoy her facilities there and enjoy the woman. But in one time it was rainy season, the rivers were overflowing with water and the wind was blowing, and he was desperate to go and see this lady. Now why was he desperate to see this lady? Because he had captured the beauty of the lady with the eyes, and therefore he could not take her out of his mind. So he was just focused, and no, I must go and see her, come what may. So he went all the way. Then he had to cross the river. Now river is, when it's calm, he can kind of swim across. But when he's fully flowing at a very fast pace, it's very difficult to swim across in a river like that. You will be probably dragged away by the currents. So somehow he did not consider the dangers of being drowned or dragged into the river. He just thought, no, I just want to go across to go and see this lady love of his. So as he was going, he was struggling, and along came a corpse floating in the river. So he grabbed hold of the corpse, thinking it's a piece of log. And then he went across, and as he went across, he went to the lady's house. And of course, it was night time, everything is closed, and the noise was going on. So he knocked on the door, and of course the lady cannot hear anything. So he thought, I'll climb on the balcony and go inside the house. So he sees a cobra hanging around there. He grabs hold of the cobra and goes inside. And then he sees his lady love. And he did not even concern a slightest fear of danger. Drowning in the river, grabbing hold of a cobra, taking such a risk, all because he was attracted by this lady love of his. Now when he reaches there, And the woman says, you could have waited. It's nothing that they could not wait for this. If you want something, and if something is not easily available, you wait a little while, and you can go later on when situation is better and is improved, and you can go and get it. So this lady love of his is saying to Bilawa Thakur that what is there here that you took such risk to come to me? And of course she explains to him that if you had similar determination for the Supreme Lord, then you will get the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Because after all, he is the object of the topmost beauty. There is nothing more beautiful than Krishna or the Supreme Lord. So he understood, and immediately he took the pin from the lady's hair and poked his eyes out. He said, now these eyes are troublesome. Now of course we don't advise that we do the same because we are attracted to this material world. But the story of Bilawa Thakur is just enough to explain to us how we can get enticed and entangled this material world. Then the Prabhupada is giving the analogy of an insect. An insect is attracted by bright lights. Now there is nothing, say, that will give you some great sense enjoyment by light. So the insect has got very little intelligence, but just because it is sparkling bright, is attracted. And we see sometimes that these insects come flying towards the light. And by very nature of the light bulb, as we know, that when it is glowing fully, it builds up heat. So when this insect comes and touches the light, it gets frizzled and it dies. Or sometimes this, in the old days, of course, we didn't have the modern electric lights, so we had oil lamps, light everything to light the darkness. So they would go into the flame and they would be burnt and destroyed. So this is what Prabhupada is saying, that these eyes are very dangerous, because if we don't use the eyes for a proper purpose, then we can be completely entangled, just like the insect is entangled, and the entanglement is further cause of its demise. So similar with us, all our lives, we search out for beautiful things, we are attracted to beautiful places, beautiful objects, and we are attracted to it so much that we become entangled in these things. And when we become entangled, then what happens? We are so absorbed in that we lose the sight of real objective of our being here. Now what is our purpose? It is explained very clearly that the purpose of a human body or human platform is to inquire into the higher nature. We are supposed to inquire into the Supreme Lord and understand. As Vedavyas is writing in his Brahma Sutra, first aphorism is Athato Brahma Jignasha, that therefore now you inquire into higher nature. Now why is Vedavyas writing that therefore you inquire? Is that he is assuming that now you have got a human form of life, and this human form of life you will understand the purpose of life. So in the human form of life, we are blessed with the ability to inquire. And inquisitiveness is everywhere. Even like you see the animals, if you see most likely we see common animals is like a dog or a cat, which are profusely all around us. Other animals probably have to go to the forest, which doesn't exist anymore. But nonetheless, at least we are privy to see these animals, the cats and dogs. And what do? Out of inquisitiveness, they go like sniffing and try to find out what is going on around them. So they are inquisitive. So it's not that the animals don't have inquisitive power. They also have inquisitive power. But they do not have the power to understand the surrounding they are living in. For example, there is some smell there, and the dog goes and smells. He has also nose like you and me. The dog can smell, but he cannot figure out what the smell is. Whether it's good smell or it's bad smell. Whereas a human being has the higher intelligence through which we can know that if some very foul smell comes in, I say, oh man, this is terrible smell. And you would either make quick retreat from that place or either put something in front of your mouth to prevent that foul smell going inside. But there's nice, beautiful fragrance, then you relish it. So the difference between human being and the animals is that we have both the abilities of smell, of sight, but the objective is different. So human beings are endowed with what I call a higher intelligence, which allows us to inquire why. And then when we inquire into this inquisitiveness of questioning why, then at the same time, by the good Lord's mercy, we have the ability to understand why. So we have so many facilities of education to go and learn. And when you're learning, you have the ability to understand why these things are happening. Now, if you put a dog here and say, my dear dog, I'm going to teach you mathematics. I'll bring 1 apple, and this is 2 apples. If you put 2 apples together, what is it? 2 apples. Will the dog understand? You don't understand. He just is just some fruit or something eatable. But he will not comprehend that yes, this is a science of mathematics. But as a human being, we understand the science of mathematics. Therefore, we learn the intricacy of addition, multiplication, division, and go further into complicated formulas and so forth. But that is because we have the ability to understand. Now, this ability to understand should be used for the right purpose. As Vedavyas is saying, Tathato Brahma Jignasa, that inquiry should be made about the Supreme Lord. Because when we understand the Supreme Lord, then we actually connect with the Supreme Lord. And when you connect with the Supreme Lord, then you feel in your natural constitutional position. It's like when Prabhupada is giving that talk on the Hare Krishna mantra, he's saying that this chanting is not something artificially imposed on the mind. It is a natural constitutional position of a living entity. So it's naturally, as Prabhupada is saying, the living entity is naturally happy when he is with Krishna. And when he is away from Krishna, then he is looking for happiness. And how we are looking for happiness? Through hearing, to smell, to taste, to sense of feeling. All these different 5 sense objects we have, we try to look for happiness through these senses. And in this verse is mentioned that the eyes are the attractive feature of being attracted to brilliant things. So when we are attracted to these things, then we try to find happiness in this. Now, there is no happiness in it. Because what is happiness is, first of all, we have to realize what real happiness is. We have some kind of a speculative idea of what happiness is. If you ask anyone in this world, what are you looking for? I'm looking for happiness. But where do you find happiness? You go to marketplace and can buy happiness? If that was the case, then you have few dollars, euros, francs. You go to the marketplace and yes, can I have 1 kilo of happiness? You will not get it. But what you will get is objects of sense enjoyment, which will entice you thinking, yes, if you get these objects of sense enjoyment, then you will get happiness. Now, you work hard, you get the object of sense enjoyment, you acquire it, and the happiness is illusory. There is no happiness because you are trying to enjoy it, but you can't enjoy it. So that happiness is not there. So real happiness is explained is that when you are in union with the Supreme Lord, when you are in connection with the Supreme Lord, because that's when you feel in your natural environment, you are in a happy frame of mind because you are in the supreme happiness. Now, the supreme happiness, we haven't experienced it, but we can understand from the pastimes of Krishna. Krishna comes and gives us glimpses of happiness. So when he is enacting his pastimes, we can begin to see how Krishna is relishing and enjoying. Now, let's just take for example, that since we are following the Yuga Dharma of the holy name of the Lord, we chant the holy name of the Lord. Now, either we chant the holy name of the Lord on our Japa Mala or in Kirtan. are we actually getting fully absorbed in the holy name and relishing the transcendental bliss? But then we see the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he is chanting the holy name, he is completely in ecstasy. He becomes mad. He doesn't see the world around him anymore. He just absorbs so much in the holy name. Because of course the Lord is teaching us how to become fully attracted to the Supreme Lord in this material world through Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. By hearing the holy name, by chanting the holy name, and by remembering the Lord, by hearing and chanting about the Lord. So the Lord, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is in full ecstasy. Now we are also there. We're going Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. But do we get fully absorbed in Krishna? We are trying to hear the holy name, we are trying to chant the holy name, but we are so conscious of our environment. You may be sitting here and focus on chanting the japa, and if some noise happens outside, immediately, what happened? Curiosity drags you there. Or any other sound or some distraction comes, you cannot focus and fully enjoy the holy name. So unless and until we develop that taste for the holy name, that can only be developed by the mercy of the Lord. You cannot just get it by repeating chanting. Repetition is there, but it is develop the consciousness that this holy name is not different from the Lord, and therefore I am now privy to chant these holy names. Now, of course, those of us who are here, we have taken to this shelter of the process of Bhakti Yoga, and with intellectual understanding we know that this is the right thing to do, and we chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And because we know that this is the right thing to do, even though we are trying to relish the nectar of the holy name, because that is the right thing to do through intellectual understanding. So we are following this process of bhakti through chanting the holy name of the Lord. At the same time, we are eager to give it to others. Because we feel that yes, I have got the right thing, this is the correct thing to do, I have got to shelter the Supreme Lord through His holy name, I will go and convince someone else to take the shelter also, because it's natural that if you find something which is nice and wonderful and it is making you kind of happy, then you want to share it with others. Now when we go and tell others, my dear friend, please chant Hare Krishna, they are not interested. Even like Lord Nityananda, Lord Balaram himself, he would go door to door and knock on the door and put a stone in his mouth and fell down at the feet of this owner of the house. So please chant Hare Krishna. Take to the shelter holy name. And the Supreme Lord is showing how humbly he is approaching, taking the lowest position and requesting that you please chant. They are not interested. Now, those of us who have got the opportunity through some intellectual understanding of philosophy that this is the correct thing to do, to take shelter of the holy name, we take the shelter of the holy name, still we are not convinced that this is the only thing which is going to save us from repeated birth and death. So, we become completely entangled and enticed by this material world through the different senses in the body, and the eyes are, as I explained, that it gets attracted to everything around us. Through the eyes we perceive the world. Now because you have the ability to see, you can see everything around you and you can perceive it. But if supposedly you don't have the good fortune of eyesight, by some reason, due to some accident or some disease condition, you are blinded, and you cannot see the world around you. But you still have the other faculties: hearing, smell, taste, touch. But still you cannot perceive it completely, because eyes give you a complete picture. and you can see the object, and you can, move yourself around without any great difficulties. Now, if you find someone who is unfortunate and is blind, you can ask them how difficult it is for them to move around independently. Although with the aid of a stick, they kind of tap and figure out that is there any obstacle in front. But it is very fearful situation. But when you have sight, everything. So this sight is very dangerous if it is misused, because it will attract us to this material world. And this material world is such that it is Lord's creation, obviously. The beauty is there in the material world. But it is an illusory thing will attract us so much so that we become entangled and we lose our original goal and sight. So we are going around everywhere looking for happiness by seeing things, and it attracting us. Come, enjoy. Here is happiness, you'll find happiness. We go everywhere looking for happiness. In the end, we become frustrated because the sight is just dragging us all over the universe. We can't find happiness. So, real happiness comes is when you are fully absorbed in Krishna. Therefore, Krishna comes and he creates a wonderful manifestation of himself to attract us. And Prabhupada says very clearly that the deity form of the Lord is so beautiful that just by taking the darshan of the beautiful form of the Lord, you become attracted. You can sit in front of the Lord for hours if you see the beauty in the Lord. But if you don't see the beauty in the Lord, then you will just come and say, okay, Hare Krishna, and then do your ritual of understanding. Yes, I am in the temple room. Here is the altar. Here is Sisi Gaurita. Here is Yagara Gulata Subhadra. Okay, there are beautiful forms of the Lord. You bow down and maybe say some prayer and then walk away. But you don't really absorb yourself in the Lord. So the eyes are our opportunity to capture the Lord in our heart. And we take the darshan of the Lord. Now most of us, I cannot speak for you, but at least I can speak for myself. Many times I go in front of the Lord in the temple room, I look at the beautiful form of the Lord, I say, yes, I've seen the Lord today, I've taken darshan of the Lord. And then later on, someone asks, did you take darshan today? I say, yeah, I was in the temple room, I saw the Lord very nice. Well, what color costume they were wearing? Were they wearing a crown or a turban? What kind of garland they had? What kind of jewelry they had? Oh, you had a hard time remembering. Why? Because your observing of the Lord was superficial. It wasn't really going deep. And because you haven't developed that love for the Supreme Lord, then it is not going to go very deep, just superficial. I give this example sometimes. It is not appropriate in Switzerland, but in India it is appropriate that they go to see the Bollywood movies, and they see this phantasmagoria of the Bollywood story of a love story. Boy meets girl, girl meets boy, and one is coming from the rich background, one from the poor background. They meet each other, fall in love, and this is just a story. But on the story, the lady, she is wearing a beautiful, colorful sari. Now, when you're watching the movie, you're observing the sari, the design, the color, everything. And then later on, you go to the shop, and 6 months later, you want to buy a similar sari because it was looking very, very, eloquent and very gorgeous on the actress. So you want to also think, if I wear this, I will also become very attractive. And then you go to the shop and you describe exactly to the minute details of that lady's sari. 6 months later, you can remember the exact details of the color, the design, and everything. Yeah, so you can remember them very clearly. Why is that? Because through eyes, you have seen that, and something you like, you have absorbed into your heart. So you can recall exactly what you saw 6 months ago on the silver screen. Now, we see the Lord and we say, can you remember what Lord Jagannath was wearing last Friday? This was 7 days ago, Friday to Friday. Or what Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda was wearing. We would have a hard time remembering what dress they were wearing. Why? Because to us, it is nothing attractive. But there's something that entices you, it will stay in your heart. And because it's in your heart, even 6 months later, that which is wonderful for, which kind of you are attracted to, and you develop attachment for that, and you can still remember that 6 months down the road. But the Lord is giving us His audience every day, but we can't remember what the Lord was wearing 1 week ago. So I said, okay, forget 1 week is too far. Our memories are not so good in Kali Yuga right now. So he said, what was the Lord wearing yesterday? Still you have a hard time remembering. The only person who might remember a little bit about it is the pujari who dresses the Lord, because they know what costume they were going to put on yesterday and what costume they are going to put today. So they kind of have a little closer remembrance of that. But that is because they are so closely serving the Lord, and that is being attracted to the Lord. So also, why would we serve the Lord if you are not attracted? Pujaris who are serving the Lord, they do it because they have developed some attachment for the Lord. And they love doing that. And they are always figuring out how to make different kinds of decorations and to serve the Lord. So that attachment is there. So the point I'm trying to make is that the eyes are given to us, the windows to the world. But if we use that to capture the form of the Lord in our heart, then we will remember the Lord all the time. But if we just superficially look at the Lord and say, yes, Lord is very beautiful, oh, they look very nice today. And then next month I ask you, what were they wearing? Oh, something like this. So you can't know the details. So the whole idea is that when we are in front of the Lord, you take notice of every single detail and try to capture it in your heart. And more you become attracted to the Lord, the more and more you will capture every single detail of the Lord's decorations, of different jewelries, clothing, and everything. And then to recall, it will be so easy. And when you recall that, then you have now captured the Lord in your heart, and you can remember the Lord anytime, any place, anywhere you are. So this is one of the aspects of our practice of bhakti. Now, we have seen sometimes little videos of Srila Prabhupada. He's in front of the Lord with his hands folded and he's completely absorbed in the Lord. And then we are also seeing the same Lord. What are we seeing? Two different things. Pure devotees see the Lord speaking to him and dancing with him. We see the Lord doing the same thing here. Lord Chaitanya is stuck there at the hand. So we see him, gracefully dancing and enjoying the holy name. We don't see, we just see, fixed pose. And then we say, does the Lord speak to us? Of course. Prabhupada said that if we are fully focused in Krishna and we are absorbed in Krishna and our heart is so pure, the Lord will begin to talk to us. And He will tell you things that, very intimate discussions will be going on between the devotee and the Supreme Lord. But it is not happening to us. And for many years we are going Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Every day we take darshan and we do all the things. But it is a kind of a ritual we are following every day. We have to actually get absorbed and not just absorbed, but then we have to pray to the Supreme Lord with desperation that this, dear Lord, I want to come to you. I want to understand you. Please reveal yourself to me. And at some point when Krishna sees you are very, very enthusiastic and very, very devoted to know him, then Krishna will reveal himself. Because Krishna can only be known if he reveals himself to us, or no other way. And Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhaktyama abhijananti. Through bhakti, you can know me. Now, even bhakti, we kind of superficially know what is bhakti. You know, the process of bhakti yoga, you know, chanting, taking prasadam, hearing about the Lord, reading about the Lord. All these things are process to come to the pure bhakti. Pure bhakti is when you're completely absorbed in the Lord. Nothing else matters. You know, we may be like a temple room is full of people, say on a Sunday. Program is going on. All the devotees are sitting here and joyfully chanting the holy names and absorbed in that. But then, you know, you are so conscious of people around you. At that point, the situation should be just you and the Lord, nothing else. But we don't get that feeling. Just like, you know, in the rasa dance, when Krishna is having his rasa dance with hundreds of gopis, and each gopi is thinking, I am so fortunate. Krishna is only with me. And she doesn't care anything around her. And that is called the highest love, when you have love for the Supreme Lord, that you see only the Supreme Lord and nothing else. So I'm not saying that we artificially become sahajas and try to say that, oh, I only see the Lord, I don't see anything else. Of course, that stage will come at a point where you will be so absorbed in the Supreme Lord by the mercy of the Lord that you will connect with Him. And when you connect with the Supreme Lord, then nothing in this material world matters at all. Someone may come and tell you, let's go to the Bahamas. You know what Bahamas? I am right here. This is where real happiness is. But we are attracted immediately. Yes, okay, I will go for vacation, you know. So we want to go everywhere. Just like another example I can give you. Bahamas maybe is materialist, but say Vrindavan, you know. Someone says, look, I'll offer you a ticket to Vrindavan. Let's go to Vrindavan for Kartik. And you say, yes, let's go to Vrindavan for Kartik. So you jump, you go to the airport, fly to Vrindavan, you reach Vrindavan Dham, and you are in a beautiful Vrindavan Dham, and the month of Kartik is there. I think, well, I'm so fortunate. All the other devotees, they are still in Zurich, and I'm in Vrindavan. But are you in Vrindavan? Because you are thinking about devotees in Zurich. So you are already thinking in Zurich, so your body may be there, but your mind is in Zurich. So you can't connect. But then at the same time, Prabhupada says, wherever Krishna is, wherever Krishna manifests his beautiful form and allows us to worship him, there is Vrindavan. So we are right now here, maybe in the middle of Zurich, but this little part of Zurich has become transcendental. It is actually Jagannath Puri, it is Navadip, Mayapur, and we have Yashoda Krishna, Vrindavan. So we have 3 in 1 right now here. But can we experience that? We are not experiencing Vrindavan here, we are not experiencing Puri here, we are not experiencing Navadip here. It's all here. We don't have to go anywhere beyond. Only thing is that our thinking is wrong. And therefore, in this verse is explained, these eyes are very important. With these eyes you observe and the form of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda dancing on the altar there, Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra there, Mother Yashoda with little baby Krishna there. And you see everything, and you see this is a perfect Vrindavan, Navadip and Puri with the eyes. And when you develop that consciousness and actually appreciate that this is the transcendental form of the Lord, because of course Prabhupada explains very clearly, the Lord never leaves his holy dham. He's always in his holy dham. So superficially it seems that Krishna is in Vrindavan, then he goes to Mathura, then he goes to Dwarka, but he takes his holy dham with him wherever he goes. In terms of Lord Chaitanya's Leela, he was in Navadip, then he went to Puri, then he went in this pilgrimage to all over South India. But he was taking his holy dham wherever he went. He never left the holy dham. It's just our material concept, because we don't see the transcendental nature of the holy dham. is with us all the time. So this Prabhupada says, we can carry the holy Dham in our hearts. And if the holy Dham is in your heart, then you don't need to go anywhere because it's a state of consciousness. So one last example I will mention here. That in 1966, when Prabhupada was in America, and he was going for his morning walk. And in America in the morning at 7 o'clock, everybody's buzzing. They're rushing to go to work. Because they're late for work, and they get fired, no money, no food, no sense enjoyment, everything is destroyed. So they are just one track. Everyone's rushing. Some running to the subway, some running for the bus, some driving their own cars, and there's noise all around. And Prabhupada would peacefully put his hand in his japa mala with his walking stick. Right? And he's just absorbed in his chanting and his walking. And some devotees asked Prabhupada, don't you miss the peaceful, quiet Vrindavan? And Prabhupada said, no, this is Vrindavan. And Prabhupada looked around Manhattan and said, yes, this is Vrindavan. Because Prabhupada's mind and heart was in Vrindavan. So that is just a state of consciousness, that if you create the Vrindavan in your heart, in your mind, then you are in the transcendental abode of the Lord. Otherwise, you may go from here to the moon and still you will not find Vrindavan. All you find is material manifestation of the world. The point is that we have to absorb ourselves through the process of hearing, through sight, smell, to touch, all these different faculties which are given to us to absorb the holy name, the holy Dham, and the beauty of Krishna. And then if you absorb that, then you are in the transcendental abode. Wherever you are, you carry Krishna with you. So of course, say this is 1966, Prabhupada is in New York. Now that time Vrindavan was very, very, very peaceful. So of course I didn't go to Vrindavan, India in 1966, but I went in 1982. And 1982 was the first time after becoming a devotee at the manor, we were said that now since you have been in the ashram for 3 years, we'll give you a trip to Vrindavan and Mayapur. So the temple paid for our tickets, a group of us went to Vrindavan, then Mayapur and Puri and then back. So when we went to Vrindavan, Krishna Balaram temple, very joyous place. And then the front gate of Krishna Balaram temple, there is that what we call Bhaktivedanta Marg. So quiet and peaceful. Nobody there, except some cows wandering past. And occasionally, if you're lucky, from morning till evening, you might find one old, banged up ambassador going, doo, 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 doo. And that's it. That's the only thing you will feel. Otherwise, as far as the eyes can see, there's nothing there, just open fields and peace and quiet. And you hear the peacocks and the birds, and the sound was silent. So when devotee said to Prabhupada, do you miss that Vrindavan? Now you go to Vrindavan today, you go in front of Krishna Balaram temple, it's worse than Manhattan. It's crazy. So you won't find peace and quiet there. But if you want real Vrindavan, make the Vrindavan in your heart, in your mind, then you have Vrindavan with you 24/7. So I'll stop here. Anybody has any questions, comments?
Yes, Maharaj, thank you very much. I'm wondering, I forget everything when I look at the deities, and then I don't remember them. When I'm reading some story of Krishna, I don't remember, or if I'm reading a page, I can hardly repeat what I have read. And so how to train the memory, and what is important to keep in our memory in Krishna consciousness?
See, memory is like that, whatever Krishna's arrangement is such that this brain is in the computer language, is a transcendental hard disk. And whatever you see is recorded there. Whatever you hear is recorded there. Whatever you smell is recorded. Whatever you taste is recorded. Whatever you feel is all recorded. Only problem is that we don't have the random access. Memory is not our random access memory is very low. So we cannot access that very quickly, even though it is there. And sometimes, it's a little difficult to recall certain things, but it comes back to you later. Now, for example, you went to school, you learned something, say, in geography or chemistry. Do you remember those things? Nothing? Really?
Very few.
Maybe you're a pure devotee. But for me, I can remember everything I was taught in school. All the biology classes, all the physics classes, all the chemistry classes, all the maths classes, all the English classes, all the technological classes. And if I have to, go back and think about it, it will start flooding back. So memory is such that it can, if you are interested in subject matter, it will come back to you straight away. But something which you're not interested, even though it is there, it is very difficult to recall. So when we become devotees, we become devotees on an intellectual level, because we understand that this material world is temporary, it's a place of suffering. I want to get out of this material world. I want to go to the eternal world. So how do we get there? Okay, you take shelter of the process of bhakti. And the process of bhakti is that there are rules, regulations you follow in the process of bhakti, and you chant the holy names, you use your faculties of shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam, and develop. So we are doing all these things, but not on the level of that attraction is there. Just intellectually know that yes, this is the things, these are the right things to do, and therefore I will do it, and I will make advancement in my spiritual journey. Now, that is because intellectually you know. But suppose on the other hand, you are a very good cook, and you have learned to cook some very dynamic recipes of foodstuffs, and you make, say for example, you make nice gulab jamuns. So you know exactly the ingredients you need, quantity you need. In the beginning, you have to look at the recipe book and say, okay, this much, this quantity, this much of this quantity, this, that, and then you follow this process and you make. And after you learn to make, then you become so expert, and you can cook straight away. You don't even have to look at the recipe again. You know just by natural experience that this quantity, that quantity, do it this way, that way, and then you make very nice gulab jamuns. Now, for some examples, say, just for understanding, for 5 years you have not made gulab jamuns. But someone says, Mataji, you make so nice gulab jamuns. Can you make gulab jamuns for next festival? It's okay. Then you go in the kitchen and start making gulab jamuns. Now, for 5 years you have not made gulab jamuns. But have you forgotten the recipe? You haven't, because you are so interested in making the sweet preparation that it is so in-depth in your mind, in your heart, that you don't forget. It just comes back naturally. So similarly, we have to train ourselves to appreciate and then actually relish it. When we start relishing these things, then it stays with us for longer. Otherwise, it will be there and then it will just be gone. But it's gone from our remembrance. But in the brain, it is recorded deep down. So it doesn't go. It stays there with you. And sometimes you will see that this memory is such that sometimes you are sitting alone, you're thinking, and all of a sudden some childhood memory comes flooding. You never even thought of these things, but it just comes flooding. And then you remember your childhood. Oh, I remember I was doing this, and I was playing there. And it comes back, but it's still there. It's not erased. So these things are already there, but we have to learn to recall them. So again, I'm a computer person, so in a computer languages, that you learn how to look for where the files are on your computer hard disk, and it's very easy to get to those information where you store your data. But if you don't know, or you forget, then you'll be looking for it for a long time. But if you know exactly where everything is, and you just press 3 buttons and it pops up on the screen without difficulty. So our brain is like that, and we have to learn to to recall these things by constant practice. Practice is most important, because if you practice, then you become perfect. Just like making a recipe of gulab jamuns. If you practice the first time, it may not come out perfect, although the recipe is perfect. The second time it will come a little better, third time, and after that, few times, you master it. Then you just, without thinking, you can just wear the preparation and it comes out first class. Because it becomes a second nature to you. So same thing with reading, chanting, taking darshan of the Lord, it should become second nature. Then it's a question of training the mind, because the mind can be trained spiritually or materially. It's just how we control the mind. And who controls the mind? As I mentioned the day before yesterday, the soul. The soul is the master of the mind. And if the soul is properly situated, then the mind can be properly directed and focused. Just like the example also I gave about the dog. You train the dog nicely, then the dog's mind is controlled by the master. You tell the dog sit, and the dog will sit, he will not move. Although in his own mind, he's thinking, I'm not tight or anything, I can do whatever I like. But no, he's been trained. He cannot do anything without the order of the master. So the soul has to become the master again. And originally he was the master, but due to his weakness, he has lost the power of control, and therefore the mind is completely going all over the place. So when you bring the mind under your control, then all these things become second nature to us. And it becomes very easy to remember everything. Even recall Krishna's beauty and whatever what Krishna was wearing last week or a week before, to remember that. It's not difficult. Memory is a powerful thing. It's the most powerful thing in this material universe. You can remember everything. So we have to practice, practice, practice. Okay? Alright, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Mahapurana ki jai. Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Jai. После завтрака может.
Президент сказал, что к 9 придут школьники. Я поэтому спешу очень.
Принести воду и тряпку.
Аня сказала только сухую уборку. Я как бы на нее ориентируюсь.
assomiglia, questo assomiglia,